We have 43 minutes of official practice time left, so I will fill it with some verbal propaganda. How are you feeling, guys?
Excellent. Except for the pain. Except for the pain, really good.
Okay. Yeah, it's been almost 4 days of practicing. Has been quite nice. The weather has been excellent. Really nice place, really nice circumstances. Cold water, which is excellent. Good food. Thank you for the cook. Thank you for the helpers, and thank you all for taking care of the tasks, chores that you did. I would like to say a word or two about spreading the Dharma. I was thinking whether the title should be Spreading the Dharma or Spread the Dharma with an exclamation mark. Because I think we need the latter, spread the Dharma with a shouting mark, at least when it comes to open heart. And so, as you know, I've been seriously considering of quitting teaching lately. And although I've spent all my adult life practicing and teaching Dharma, I've really been serious about it because I've been teaching now for nine years next month, and of course there will in any work there are problems and issues that have to be dealt with. Some issues, but it has felt to me that and I don't want this to sound like a blaming or something negative, but I've kind of felt that Open Heart is now in a situation where I cannot possibly do any more, and I also feel that it's not my responsibility to take care of all the many things that I've done so far. It's the responsibility of the Sangha members. So that's really the main reason of me seriously considering this, because I've been asking people to become more active, mostly of course Finnish Sangha members, because all the foreigners, non-Finns, have been around so little time. But there's a bunch of Finnish practitioners who've been around for years, and I'm simply not seeing that taking of that responsibility which belongs to practitioners, Sangha members, those who are committed to the practice and committed to me as a teacher, committed to our lineage, the Mahasiddha family. So this has been the main reason why I've been considering it, and it's not an easy consideration. Of course, if you think that you put all your love and life energy and time and even health into something for 10 years, you know, you've really put your everything into something, like artists often do, or you know, people have different kinds of projects, scientists, inventors, what have you. Of course it's a difficult situation, but it seems that even though I've asked people to step up and do the tasks that belong to students, it hasn't happened. So I feel that at this point it's kind of a position that If people don't want to take that responsibility, then fine. You know, um, it's not my problem. You know, it's not my responsibility at this point anymore to sweep the floors and make the coffees and do all the things related to the website and course organizing and all this stuff that belongs to the students. So I've kind of felt that with this group of students, I have no other choice than to give the ultimatum and let people to do the choice. And so far, even though I gave this ultimatum maybe a month ago, I haven't yet seen, like I've gotten really nice concerned messages from practitioners, people who are involved, and got really nice, encouraging comments and a lot of gratitude. But that's not what is needed now. That's not the point. That exactly is not the point. I don't need any encouragement to continue my work. It's the people who have to do theirs. Then maybe I would like to say something more generally about spreading the Dharma. Tenzin Palmo said this quote that you have seen and read many times before. Tenzin Palmo: "It would be nice if someone would come along and find a method by which people could awaken. Even the Buddha couldn't do that." So this was said by Tenzin Palmo, famous Tibetan Buddhist teacher and a nun, British by birth, who spent 12 years in a retreat back in the 70s, early 80s, and who's like a student of Kamtrul Rinpoche. And this quote can be seen from, I think, from two different perspectives. The other one is that the quote talks about finding a method by which people could awaken. So that's the technique, lack of actual practice by which people could awaken. That's one point of view. And the second one is that the kind of historical, cultural point of view, that even though Buddhism and other similar Dharma teachings that deal with mind training and non-dualism, coming from the deluded dualist state to non-dualism, all these teachings have been around for Buddhism for 2,500 years, which is a really long time, or at least it's enough time to achieve this, to make the the world culture, much more awakened and aware than it is now. And it simply is not the case. And like during the last 50 years, maybe, different kinds of teachings, including many schools of Buddhism and Advaita and Hinduism, different Hindu yogas have spread around the world. And it's kind of going okay. It's progressing nicely, but that's just the last 50 years. So Buddhism has had 2,500 years time to achieve this, and even though during the last 50 years it has progressed immensely, I would say, compared to the first 2,400 years, still its Dharma practice is its, what would be a, maybe I wouldn't want to say marginal, but it's not mainstream, at least. So even though there has been Jesus, there has been Krishna, there has been Babaji through many of his students throughout the centuries. There has been Buddha, there has been Guru Rinpoche, there has been Milarepa, there has been all the many masters, all the Mahasiddhas of the Mahasiddha family. The condition is what it is. Awakening, like we were joking in Lion-Faced Guru podcast, that awakening is becoming mainstream. But if we really think of world culture, maybe that is the case in another 50 years, 100 years in the developed Western countries, or like Western societies, modern societies. But considering the world culture, I think it will require much more time. So as this talk of mine is about spreading the Dharma, I was thinking about this topic like this morning, and of course I mentioned the thing about practitioners taking the responsibility culturally, and so from the point of view of society. So Buddhism and also Sanatana Dharma, Hindu Dharma, emphasizes helping others and supporting others even though we do not know who they are. Compassion, right? So we really have to understand, at least theoretically, to begin with, that we are not alone. We are not. It's not a correct view to practice only for ourselves. We cannot become Buddhas without fully aware beings, without having an open heart, without having concern, genuine concern of the condition of beings who suffer, samsaric beings, and without taking the responsibility of, as Dharma practitioners, to make Dharma available to others and help others in that way, and also through the classic Dharma work methods such as giving food to poor and so on, bettering these basic conditions that that we automatically have in the Western societies. So in this retreat, John and Carl gave Dharma talks and talked about their personal paths, and listening to you guys, I was kind of thinking my own path and paths of people who I know, and was just thinking that I mentioned earlier in the retreat that for us to be able to practice here in this retreat and do these practices, it's not only because of me as a teacher or my masters or our masters. It's actually a condition that is affected by and brought together by thousands and thousands and thousands of different conditions, by many beings who we don't come to, many people who we don't come to think of. But if you start thinking it logically, you can trace, we can trace the food, we can, like, how did that come about, how did this place come about, who owns this, who built this place, this country and so on. It goes on and on and on and on. It's just a web of conditions that has come together, and now we can utilize these conditions and practice, and through this circumstance we can reduce and minimize and ultimately go beyond samsara, the deluded mind, selfing, and become Buddhas. So what is needed now in Open Heart Sangha on behalf of the students is action. Taking responsibility, realizing this, what I just said, realizing how like a deep topic it is, taking responsibility and becoming active. I think I will keep this sermon short, so let's sit a few minutes together, keeping this issue in our mind, reflecting it, and saying a prayer. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings become free of suffering. May all beings have causes of becoming free of suffering. May all beings learn and have conditions to practice the Dharma, so that they may be lamps unto themselves. They may know themselves. May the Buddhas, Mahasiddhas, wisdom beings, those with perfectly open heart and mind, help us in achieving that. May us, who have partially open heart and who have enough knowledge, enough insight, realize that we can do much more than we are doing now, that we can achieve notable things for the benefit of all beings. Let us be active for the benefit of all beings and not become passive and paralyzed. May all beings be free of delusion, suffering, ignorance. May all beings be free. Okay, guys, thank you for this retreat.